Yo, what's up? Welcome back to Project Zero. Rishav here with another podcast, another second marathon video. Still trying to make it through to all the podcasting stuff, but before we get to that point, this video will be covering behind the scenes in real life responsibilities, a bit of a vlog. We were trying to get this all wrapped up in the previous video, honestly, the previous podcast, but we didn't manage to cover anywhere near enough. So we're going to continue with that in this one. And the previous one talked a little bit more on the production side of the project with Twitch and YouTube and some distractions like Studio Gek and childhood trauma therapist Patrick Tian. Amazing channel, amazing person. And we covered, updating the bio and links and stuff like that. So this one's going to cover more so less behind the scenes technical production for the project and more so with other responsibilities having to do with actual housing, finance, assistance from the government and so on and so forth, as well as some of the more technical stuff here that we still have remaining having to do with like software. That's kind of showed up some windows below, less to do with the actual channels and the platforms, but more to do with the actual laptop and software and open programs that we want to troubleshoot. So without further ado, again, just quickly, relief shelters, Project Zero. This is a place for those who don't have a place, a secure, stable place to call home, nor people to call family. Typically coming from a very disruptive, very possibly dangerous and volatile and abusive households. So all of those people, you're all welcome here for sure. And it is a mix of, on the fun side, some SOL, slice of life, virtual, right, plus IRL, real life. So that's kind of like responsibilities and duties and daily activities and chores, job, finance, stuff like that, combined together, okay, to create this kind of weird, authentic, yet virtual project that's focused on fulfillment for us, just to spend time together and focus on activities, things that are engaging, entertaining, that make us laugh, share experiences, our stories. Okay. All right. And before it was at one point, this project at one point was a self-improvement, self-development kind of project. It had a different name. It's called the Hour Project. It's different now. So let's just dive right into the content now. Without further ado, it's about 2-3 minutes in, a bit longer than I would have liked. So let's go ahead and in this scene, and you can see there's a privacy graphic right here. My hands, the finger, if you're watching on YouTube, it's like a graphic here. A side covering the top half of the browser because this is my email, right? So I'm going to hop over here, just say, so for example, this is the email that I just created a blank template, a blank canvas here, just saying hi, blah, regards, blah. And then I'm going to fill in the content in between. This one is for my community organization and housing caseworker. So for example, today, this is where I'll divulge a little bit, very vaguely, but for privacy and confidentiality purposes, right? All this is going to be private. But whatever I can divulge very vaguely. So for example, just getting on the timeline of events down, trying to work between trying to walk this fine thread of delivering a practical case while at the same time trying to be as genuine as we possibly can be, because one of the most difficult things during a caseworker, especially, you'll notice if you guys ever had like I don't know if you guys ever had, but you can chime in a little bit vaguely. Don't go too personal about this, but if you guys ever been involved in any cases that involve some sort of advocacy or some sort of private case management, you'll know that it's always a difficult line to tread between making sure that the application is as successful as it can be, while also remaining just genuine, honest, and truthful, because oftentimes the details are all lost in the past, and by far the criteria that's always set forth almost deliberately by the organizations in the government and so on and so forth. It's almost like red tape that they're not trying to work against you, but the thing is, they just have such a scarcity of resources and of labor work, and there's no end. There's so much demand and not enough supply. So overall, there's just going to be this intentional crunch, right? They're trying to make it as robotic as it possibly can be. And yet the irony is, for these situations, it's these situations where you would assume that people require the most humanity, the most understanding, but it's also at the same time the very opposite of that. What you very much need is exactly what's not being provided. And so trying to build a case like that is very difficult. And, so that's a very vague topic to mention. That's just like weaving the fine line here. Yeah, I'm not going to divulge too much further than that. So I just had to provide all the timeline events here and been in touch with the caseworker, trying to make this work. And it's very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult. I won't say too much more than that. Okay. Very vague, right? But that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be very vague. All right, let's close this. Next we have here, we're heading over onto a different email and a different relationship. So it has to do with income tax accounting. Again, guys, if you know, feel free to share your relatable experiences at the bottom. Again, don't share anything too private, right? Nothing that makes you too uncomfortable. But I'm assuming that all of us are adults, so you guys have done the work. My channel is obviously not for kids. It's not for kids at all. It's very real. It's for people who are experiencing difficulties in life. And I don't intend on being PC at all about this. So again, I'm assuming that you guys have done the work or you're working on it. Just make sure that you don't reveal too much about yourselves that you're not comfortable with. Okay. Anyways, but share the relatable stories. I would love to hear. Okay, so next is this is income tax, and as I mentioned, I forgot to do this in the previous video. About 3-4 videos ago, I said that one of the accountants from one of the 3 firms, 3, 4, 5 firms actually, came back to me and said, here's upload your stuff over to like Microsoft OneDrive or Google or Dropbox, Google Drive as well, so we can actually communicate. And basically that's what this email is. It's saying, hey, if you don't want to receive files from this person, block the sender. I'm not going to show you obviously anything north of this because, again, for privacy reasons, right? Obviously I'm blocking it out with the graphic. But it's a shared Google Drive with the accountant. Okay. And again, no names, no nothing. It's just kind of keeping it very, very vague. But again, if you guys are doing income tax and it's like the last week here now, basically you know what this is like, right? You reach out to the accountant, you have to share your files, whether it's through email, which is not secure apparently, and then you do so by their own website portal, and sometimes in this case through a third party like Google Drive and so on and so forth, or Microsoft OneBox or Dropbox or whatever. Okay, close that. And so here it is. Here's actually me dropping off some of the stuff here into the file. Again, very important that I have the privacy graphic closing off, covering some of the information. But you can see here things that I can show is just, we can see, so it's on documents relating to a worker's health claim for my optometric glasses. So these pair of glasses here, right, the benefits. I used to be working, right? I was working for many, many years, almost over a decade actually. And, benefits for these glasses here was added there. Social assistance filing. So it's like the first time in my entire life I've ever received any sort of social assistance or government work. Again, because I was very independent minded and I realized I was to my detriment. Sometimes you just need professional help. You can't manage everything on your own. So that's the whole government assistance thing. And then we have the employment income. So I was working actually this year as well. Sorry, not 2023, but basically the income tax year that we're doing for this year. So I was working actually fairly recently already, and then I left, but basically I still have employment income. So anyways, there's a whole bunch of documents there as well. Aside from these are the ones that I can see that are reading. There's even a directory I included as well. I'll try and make it easier for the accountant. So I'm going to pause this video slightly and just close this. And I'm going to pop over to display. Shit. fucking what? Okay, I made a mistake. Before we pop over to display, forgot to cover something really important, guys. So when I mentioned going over to the caseworker, talking about the caseworker, right, and working through the whole very vague, trying to define line between a successful case and trying to be as genuine as you possibly can be, because honestly, it hurts my conscience, man. I'm a mediator. My entire life, I've had to be the mediator, the peacemaker, almost like a people-pleasing, nice person, too nice, codependent for my entire life. It's not good, but that's the reality. And it's hard for me to be adversarial. It's hard for me to become assertive. It's a challenge for me too. Although I've become quite assertive, I would say, compared to who I was before. But sitting in the office makes it really difficult. Like, to do it officially it's very difficult for me. Okay, so we're just gonna get rid of this tab here, basically. And the reason I mentioned that about the case is, while I was there with the amazing caseworker, and he's a great person, he's so level-headed, he's so down to earth. He does remind me. I've told him myself. He reminds me of one of my siblings. Very collected, very calm, and like confident, but he's very grounded. He's very based, you could say, if that's a meme. So is my caseworker, and figures, because they're from like the same generation. It's like the same, almost like same era. They're both like basically Gen Z. Like, it's like 20, 23, 21 years old, something like that. Great guy though, and I'm very thankful for his help. Last to say, man, and also just in general, thank you. Expressing gratitude. So while I was there, I just want to showcase, so this part of the gratitude thing. Every time I go see him, he always offers food, because I don't know, and we always connect instantly, right? Between me and him, like, we have such a genuine and authentic connection. Like, we like to work hard, we like to like responsibility, we like to be charitable as much as we can. But he's got it a lot. He's a lot more straightforward than I am, because he's not fucked up, right? I have a post-traumatic stress disorders and various other symptoms, but he's actually healthy. And anyways, the point is, sometimes I have to rely on him for a lot of different things when it comes to guidance over how to manage the situation. And I'm incredibly thankful for him. And by the way, so what I want to showcase here is just that this bag inside is some food I received from him at the food bank. So his organization also has a food bank. And I'm not going to show too much, but so some garbage basically I have to cover, but also, it's not just garbage, it's actually something I received from someone I'm very appreciative of. I'm appreciative of a lot of people. I've mentioned before, there's like a great friend I met. He's a reverend, a priest. I'm starting to get excited now when I'm talking about people I really like great people in my life. So yeah, he's one of them. So we have a tin can here with, it's a meal, it's a hot meal. Inside there's like pork, potatoes, and bell peppers. There was also like a chocolatine Danish, as well as yogurt and boiled eggs. It was quite a comprehensive meal, right? Got eggs, protein, got good fair bit of carbs, potato, vegetables, bell peppers. Also a snack, right? Like a Danish pastry, and then some utensils with it. So, and I didn't ask for it. I said, it's okay. It's like past like 5 p.m., which is when the food bank closes. He's like, no, I'll go get it for you. Anyways, it's okay. And he's always that insistent. He's a great person. And so, again, privacy, confidential, I know names mentioned, just going to be like Ivy, thank you very much for all that you do for not just myself, like so many other clients who have experienced incredibly traumatic and incredibly difficult, dangerous, risky situations in their lives. And I am so thankful to Ivy. Great dude, great guy, man. And yeah, I know it's a professional relationship as well, but we're just like, there was this really wholesome moment where we were joking about how, you know, journalists nowadays are so impartial, but I gotta be like we're trying to be the ideal journalist. And the most important part about this was somewhere along the lines when I was detailing the timeline of events, the scripture that I was providing, you know, an objective factual recount of specific events. He's like, you know, you write like Dostoevsky. You've got to stop writing poetry. You think of, and then I said, you know, oh, so I'm supposed to think, I should think of this as like a lab report. He's like, well, more like a news article. And I was like, right, okay, got it. So it should be more editorial and it's not some you know, prose, not a novel. And but that was such a, for me, I was like, oh, that's the second time that I've been connected. Someone else in the support group, in the men's support group I mentioned, phenomenal guys there, phenomenal fathers, a lot of them there as well. And what they would do is like one of the guys there, let's just say Jay, again, everything's confidential. He said to me, you know, you should go watch the moth joke and tell me what you think. Because he says, you know, you kind of dive into, eventually it's implied that basically that the moth joke on late night show on Conan, I believe, it's a throwback to some sort of, you know, one of those like very somber, macabre Russian story novelists. That's perfectly captures what I kind of do all the time. I go deep into some very distorted and very macabre philosophical themes, and that was my coping. That was heavy copium for me when I was growing up. So anyways, it was such a compliment when I was like, wow, this guy just compared me to Dostoevsky as a writer. I was like, wow, man, I was so touched. Yeah, that was a moment I was having. Fun times. Okay. It's a caseworker. Anyways, so it's time to move on. But you can tell that we have. All right, so okay, let's stay on topic though. We gotta wrap this up. It's about 17 minutes in now, so let's cover the software and put this to rest. Okay. So I'm glad that I would have been so angry if I did not cover all that food there on the side. That gift, right? It's a gift, thankfulness, blessing, gratitude. Very important thing to practice every single day. Okay, switch over to display scene. So we have 3 tabs here, four programs here I want to touch upon, and I'm going to move this OBS Studio aside so that we can see them in full glory. So the first thing I want to showcase is on the right hand side. You guessed it, that's the VTube model that I kind of created, and yeah, that's it's intentionally meant to be a little bit ambiguous, if you know what I mean. If you know, you know. If you don't, whatever. That's the character right there. And you know, I don't know when I'll be able to actually make use of it and turn it into a 3D model that's been rigged and properly used on this channel, but it's definitely down the pipeline. I would say it's not the priority right now. The priority is podcasting, reactions, Attack on Titan, Studio Gek, the boys here, Jackson, McKay, Rig, Cannon, Carter, and you know, that's what our focus is. But you know, eventually down the line, we're gonna get over to the whole VTubing thing, and we're gonna experiment with that as well a little bit further. Right now, it's in the backdrop, so we can close this. But I just figured I would showcase that this is basically the PNG photograph. So in VRoid Studio, that's the software for creating your model. Basically, it's for free as well. If you guys don't know, just go Google it up. It's all free. So again, relatable stuff. If you guys are interested in this kind of stuff, you know, I said slice of life, right? So for sure, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, go ahead and check it out. Phenomenal stuff, great program. Anyways, create the model, and inside there's a feature for. I showcased this again in almost like 2 weeks prior to this video. So like 14 episodes previous, roughly, give or take. The photo booth feature within that software, so we can take a snapshot of it going through an animation. It has all these default animations, running, jumping, sliding in this case, and then I just went to the photo booth, applied some effects, and then took a photograph, and there we have the model. Photograph the model sliding, and this is for my character. Okay, so we'll close it off here. That was fun, but you know, we opened it because we said, wow, it looks actually, I really like it. So we're just gonna keep that aside. It's a bit of a hobby. Now let's cover some technical stuff here. That's technical already when we talk about VRoid stuff, but this is having to do with Windows, right? This command prompt, PowerShell, right? Opened it because I mentioned that Windows update automatically restarted, and I closed all my browsers, closed everything down. It did update the antivirus software, which, by the way, let's cover the other part down here. If I hover down right now, since in display, you can see that there's a window down here for the anti-malware and the antiviral software, which right now it's open because there's an alert. It says that something about an app on the Windows store. So the Microsoft or HP Hewlett-Packard store, one of the stores, has a webcam app that has accessed my computer or something like that. And it was a little bit alarming at first because I know I don't really use the apps from Windows Store or Microsoft Store, but I figured that it's not too big of a deal. Maybe it's just something else. So I'm just gonna close it. It's not a big deal. It's been given access, and I do have to be wary of the fact that, you know, whenever I'm not recording, I should close the cover. I should do that more often. I used to, but right now, since I'm recording every single day, I tend to leave the cover open, which is not a good practice. Okay, but that's all there is. I mean, what are you gonna capture, man? What are you gonna capture? You can't capture anything for me. So I'm gonna close the antimalware software, but that's gonna happen after or in between clips. Like right now, I'm gonna pause the video, and you can see I closed it while it was the video was paused. So again, for privacy, I don't really want to detail which kind of software I'm using for antivirus softwares, right? You know, that's probably going to reveal a bit more than you should. Next, we have command prompt, right? It's like a segue related, basically restart a computer. So we ran the SFC scanner. We talked about this SFC/scan now, check disk /R repair, and DISM deployment imaging, you know, backup. So /online /cleanup image /restore health. And we completed 2 iterations of SFC, and then DISM, and then SFC again with a new image, and then DISM again. And then finally check this /R, but then it says check this cannot run because the volume is in use by another process. Would you like to schedule this volume to be checked next time the system restarts? Y or N? So yes or no. And I said no, because I only want to do this once the computer is ready to be restarted. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to close this, or we're going to minimize this because it's a very low intensive program to run. It's the only one I'm going to leave open of the 4 programs we're touching here. We're going to close 3 of them. So the last program that we're going to close, we're going to cover in this video, finally, all the behind the scenes. Next one will be Attack on Titan Studio Gag or podcasting. Is this over here, which is Video Proc DigiArty. This is a software that is paid. You have to pay for it, but it's a fantastic piece of software. Uses hardware, accelerated GPU, all that. Very incredibly efficient algorithm and software programming. So overall, it's a very efficient program, and I'm using this basically to edit certain videos. Especially, there was one video here I had the audio was really scuffed, and then I also had some privacy issues because I ended up accidentally showing, let's say for example, my username or my email address or whatever. So basically I went through and I would upload a video here. So for example, this one, and then I would, there's all sorts of settings, audio 1, AAC, the extension file, the codec, the dimensions, 1920 by 1080, effect, watermarks, cut, crop, rotate, and subtitles. These are all the changes you can make to it. So we can cut, we can add effects. It's very interesting. And you can see I made like 3 quick edits here.
This is another second
you
marathon
cut them up and then you can piece it together. You can make it all merge into a single video. But you can see I made some cuts here to this particular one. And
welcome back to,
we want to remove anything that was private and then throw it out, punch out the edited output as one of these files here, FLC, PCM, that's a codec actually, and then the output folders and the options so that we can actually upload it over onto, say, a public platform. But we're deciding, maybe we won't do that if it's, we can actually just toss, if it's too private, over onto one of the highest tiers on Patreon, which no one will ever join. So we'll be good with that. Anyways, that's that. So, all right, that's it. And the only other reason why we have the Video Proc open is after covering all that, I do need it for one last thing, which is you can see the options here: video, DVD, downloader, recorder. We're gonna go to downloader, and we want to go add music. but that's really just audio. We're going to delete this and pop in the URL for what I mentioned in the previous video is, if I can showcase to you very briefly before we end this video, Patrick Tihan, LICSW, the child trauma therapist who I greatly adore. He's been instrumental in many cases for my self-awareness, not so much for my recovery because I didn't actually actively use his videos to my advantage in that context, but I was made aware of the severity of my issues, mentally speaking, and how it's actually, I'm not some crazy person. It's actually a very standard response for people who have been through what I've been through. And so a very fantastic counselor. I'm just looking for his video. I apologize, guys. Right here, oddly specific childhood trauma issues. Okay, so I'm just gonna swap. Come on, swap over to display again, and that's here. So here it is. I mentioned in the previous video, I want to copy this URL link and I will paste it over here and analyze, and then it will run. So obviously I'm not going to do this while the video is running because it's going to be too taxing for the laptop, or if it's not too taxing, it's going to make it lag. So thanks for tuning in, and I'm basically saying I'm going to download that video on 11 oddly specific childhood trauma issues. So this is going to be the end of this podcast. I know it's about like 27 minutes, too long. So again, share your experiences, right? Share experiences. You know, if you can relate to some of the videos here, right? So you can definitely go ahead, just go to YouTube and Google 11 oddly childhood trauma specific issues from Patrick Tihan. That's Teahan. Fantastic channel. I would recommend anyone who's been facing mental health issues relating to developmental trauma, so specifically heavy sorts of harassment, abuse, and so on and so forth, to visit his channel, because it'll be wildly beneficial. And you know, if you can relate, comment in the description what kinds of behaviors could you identify there. You know, the refrigerator, the dissociation, so on and so forth, the flashbacks, and on and on. Also, anything else during this podcast or video that you found was super relatable, or you want to chime in or comment or make a little meme about, go for it, man. It's all welcome. Again, we talked about like there's like VTubing, there's like window, like troubleshooting the restarts of Windows, and then we covered a lot about, you know, income tax and a lot of that really wholesome kind of thing that happened, you know, when you click with someone. In this case, it was a professional doing community work and services, a fantastic person, but you must have had people in your life who you met in that capacity, who also you just clicked with, right? And so feel free to share that. Are these your best friends at this point now? And I'm not necessarily talking to youth. You could be all audiences welcome. So especially a lot of my friends have been seniors. Like a lot of my friends have been like 75, 85 years old. Some of them have passed away, unfortunately, because I used to volunteer at the long-term care senior home. So just being totally out there, man. If you have a lot of wise years of experience to share, I would love to hear that. Yeah, that's it. So thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you guys in the next one, where we cover either the reaction to the last episode of Attack on Titan with Dostoevsky and podcasting. So I'll see you there. Peace out.